Hello, I'm Dr. Bob Bianchi, and I would like to share with you yet another great archaeological discovery pulled out of the sands of ancient Egypt. Join me as we discuss one of the largest, longest ever discovered intact one-piece Book of the Dead. Many of you are doubtless familiar with Saqqara, the great necropolis of ancient Egypt. It was here, in an area known as the Bubastion, that the expedition under the auspices of the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities found a cache of about 25 intact sarcophagi. And here we see some of them displayed during the press conference announcing the discovery. Now, when one of those sarcophagi were opened, lo and behold, like the bottom of a box of Cracker Jacks, was this amazing surprise. They found this scroll of papyrus wrapped in linen. When unrolled, they discovered that it was an enormous 16-meter long scroll measuring 52 feet in length. Such scrolls, today commonly called the Book of the Dead, were anciently termed the Book of Coming Forth by Day. It contained chapters or spells enabling the deceased to navigate the unknown journey toward resurrection in the hereafter. Now, it is important to remember that the Book of the Dead was not a standardized volume. The deceased or the deceased relatives or friends could pick and choose chapters that they wish to include within the scroll. As a result, there are almost no scrolls that have every single chapter of the Book of the Dead in the prescribed canonical order. When we look at this particular papyrus scroll, we find that the scribe or scribes who created it divided the length into 150 columns, several of which you see here, and those 150 columns contained 113 different chapters of the Book of the Dead, arranged perhaps according to the desires of the individual or individuals who commissioned this particular work. Perhaps the most famous of the vignettes of the Book of the Dead is chapter 125, where the heart of the deceased is weighed against the feather of truth in the hall of judgment, presided over by a number of assessors to determine whether the deceased is committing perjury with regard to the testimony he is delivering, and all that takes place in the presence of the enthroned Osiris, whom you see here. For me, personally, one of the most intriguing vignettes or illustrated scenes in this particular scroll is the representation of the owner, an individual named Ahmose, who is represented here with his wife. Now, it is important for us to understand that this particular papyrus is dated to the Ptolemaic period, but more specifically to the period around 50 BC. The significance of this dating should not be lost on anyone. The date of 50 BC places this papyrus squarely into the early reign of Cleopatra the Great. In the past, the reign of this great queen has been characterized as 3 Ds: decay, decline, degeneration. The sheer length of this papyrus, the consummate way in which the scenes are drawn, the calligraphy of the accompanying inscription are clear evidence that pharaonic traditions were alive and well during the reign of Cleopatra the Great. A papyrus document such as this should alert everyone to reconsider and discard the older prevailing suggestion that the reign of Cleopatra was nothing more than a decline, the final curtain falling on pharaonic Egyptian civilization. Ahmose and his wife were doubtless members of the upper echelons of elite Egyptian society during the reign of Cleopatra the Great. Their papyrus, which we've been discussing, is evidence, I think, of the high standard of living that many Egyptians enjoyed during the reign of Cleopatra the Great. And this papyrus should alert everyone to the undeniable fact that creativity, artistic craftsmanship, beautiful masterpieces continued to be created during the reign of Cleopatra. This extraordinary papyrus is now on view in one of the long corridors of the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square, downtown Cairo. It is earmarked to be moved and installed in the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum on the Giza Plateau. I think its installation in the new museum will be a reminder to everyone that the consummate 52-foot length of this papyrus is proportional to the enormous creative artistic production that occurred during the reign of Cleopatra the Great. And I would hope that by looking at this papyrus carefully, one will dispel all of the negative assessments that past historians and archaeologists have ascribed to the reign of this immortal monarch of ancient Egypt. I'm Dr. Bob Bianchi. Thank you for watching, and be sure to watch us next time as we present another exciting Egyptological discovery. Bye-bye for now.